So how do we get people to watch our auction? So there's a couple of things that I left out that I really should not have from that first part. And again, keep in mind, I'm only looking at it from the kind of the thrifting women's apparel standpoint. Because in order to build an audience, you have to make sure that you don't just kind of tread water with an audience. We want to make sure that the folks that do come to you once, they want to come to you again. So try to have stuff that's interesting that they can't get elsewhere. My wife early on was really adamant about making sure that she found some pretty fire pieces that she knew that other resellers would be just drooling over. So she wanted to make sure that these other folks would remember that she had a good eye for stuff or had a good connection, whatever it was. So that way they would want to actually book more shows. Bookmark, sorry. So so make sure that folks will want to kind of continue to come back. Also, another thing, we try to make sure we don't waste our audience's time. So I know it can be hard, especially when you're kind of doing it by yourself, but to really try to make sure that folks are there probably initially to look at buying stuff, not necessarily to hear your monologue about whatever it may be. So, I try to make sure that, I'm very quick to start the next auction. I try to make sure and wait till she's at least shown the item to the video camera, and then she starts talking about it. And then a lot of times I'll then just tee it up for 20 seconds. And so overall, between the time of hanging up the item and then grabbing the next and starting another one, it's on average for us 45 seconds to a minute and 15 seconds. So if we have 60 items, it will probably take us about an hour to run through it, even though we might be using 20 or 30 seconds for the actual auction itself for each item. And again, that's kind of a personal thing. I just think kind of my intuition says that folks want to spend their time wisely. They don't want to sit around from 6 to 9 p.m. watching someone move 60 items. That's just eating up a lot of your day. And speaking of kind of time of day, that's another thing that it's kind of a double-edged sword. We're not really sure. We've had Whatnot representatives ask us to consider doing earlier shows to try to go when there's not as many other sellers on the platform, but also there's just not going to be as many buyers. So I will say in the last couple of weeks we've been interested in how we've had some decent audiences at a 4 p.m. Eastern time auction. But the best ones we've had so far have been typically around 8 or 8:30 in the evening.